is Pam Foster. I'm a member of Howard County Community. I've been in Howard County for 33, no, longer than that. Well, I'll start this way. I came to Maryland from college, from Florida A&M. I'm a native New Yorker, and I didn't want to go back to New York. I was an education major, and so I didn't want to go back to New York to teach. So Montgomery County came down and did hiring. They went to an HBCU, which was my school, FAMU, and they came down and they hired. They wanted black teachers. It was minority recruitment. They came down and hired me my junior year, and so I knew all that whole last year that I was going to be in Montgomery County. So I moved up here in 80, I believe it was 87, and I taught in Montgomery County. I retired almost 8 years ago from Montgomery County Schools, where I was a teacher, and then I was a staff development specialist, and I was a mentor, and I just served in all of those capacities. And then I retired, and I am a only parent of a daughter who was getting ready to go to college. So I was like, okay, I retired, but now I'm gonna do something else. So I started working with the FDA. And so I'm a trainer, professional development trainer for the FDA and at FDA University. And so that's what I do. That's why I was late today, because I had a training this morning. But I'm saying all of that to say is because my field of expertise in the work that I do is in emotional intelligence. And so they call me at my job the emotional intelligence guru, because I write the emotional intelligence trainings. So I knew that I only had 12 minutes today, so I was trying to think after I talked to AJ. I said, how can I fit all of what I know into a quick presentation about emotional intelligence and how it's connected to Love is the Answer. So I looked at the pledge, and I pledged to learn about the people in my community, to unconditionally open my heart to their needs as if they were all immediate family members, to volunteer to be part of the solution in their life, both during good and challenging times, and to empower everyone I meet to do the same as if our lives depended on each other. So I was talking to my daughter, and I was telling her about it. She is a senior at Virginia State University. I'm so proud of her. She's a chemistry major, and me and God did that. We did that. She's a phenomenal student. I adopted her when she was 6 weeks old. And so our connection is very, very special. And so I tell her a lot, and she tells me a lot. And I was telling her about this. She says, Mom, you could do something with your emotional intelligence connected to Love is the Answer. And she says, I wish I knew about that more when I was in Howard County. She went to L.O.V.E, best school ever.
Go Cats.
Yes, go Cats. She was on the volleyball team, and that's what I would always say, go Cats! But I thought about what she said, and I said, I looked at the pledge, and I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the tenets of emotional intelligence, and I'm gonna tie it into Love is the Answer. So that's what I'm gonna give you today. The love principles, I'm tying them to the emotional intelligence tenets. And so when we look at emotional intelligence, it's so much talk about it. It's just, you just hear it all the time. And so sometimes people say, well, what is it? What is emotional intelligence? And so I want to start off saying what it really is and then drill down. So emotional intelligence is to recognize the emotions that you are feeling, know what those emotions are telling you, and then to realize how it's affecting other people. That's the big part. Because we can know our emotions and we can know what it's telling us, but then we don't think about how it's impacting the people sitting around us, the students that we work with, the employees, the co-workers that we work with, our family members, our neighbors. And so that's the big thing we have to realize with emotional intelligence, is that it's not just about us. My mother used to tell me all the time. She does still tell me that, because she's 89 and she now lives with me. She moved from Birmingham, Alabama to live here with me in Howard County. And so she'll say, Pam, it's not about you. And I'm like, you're right, Mom. So that is so true. It's not about you. Sometimes it's about the people around you. Sometimes it's about the needs of other people. And so when you look at it's five tenets of emotional intelligence. The first one is self-awareness, which is which is really the basis of emotional intelligence. And self-awareness really ties into what the definition of emotional intelligence is. It's an awareness of your actions and your behavior and your feelings and how they affect those around you. We know so many people that really lack that area of emotional intelligence. I know someone that, she doesn't understand why she's not invited to events anymore, to parties, to gatherings, because she doesn't realize how she comes across to other people. She doesn't realize how she makes other people feel. She doesn't realize that she takes over the whole event and talks about herself and her family, and then gives no time for anyone else to talk or share, and sometimes not really, I'm going to get to empathy in a minute, but not really thinking about the things that she's saying and the people that she's saying it to. And so that's when we get to empathy, that's when that comes up, So I'm talking about me and my husband are doing this, me and my husband are doing that, me and my husband are going here, and you're not realizing that the person that you're talking to just lost her husband. That's empathy. That's self-awareness. And self-awareness is when you go to bed at night and you lay in the bed and you play a movie in your head of what the day was like. Do you really reflect on how you might have come across? Does anything come to your mind and say, maybe I shouldn't have said that to him. Maybe that was a little harsh. And then you come back the next day and say, hey, I want to talk to you, and just, I just want to be sure, yesterday when we spoke, I hope I didn't come across as whatever. That's self-awareness. Understanding that whatever you are dealing with, how it's impacting other people. So I taught 5th grade for many years. Best grade ever. I will go toe-to-toe with any classroom teacher. I don't care, from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. 5th grade is the best. And I would tell my friends, out of my group of friends, I was one of the only people that was a teacher. Everyone else, they were pharmacists, business majors, all these other fields. And I would tell them all the time, my job doesn't allow me to deal with a tragic situation and sit at my desk and close my door. I have 29 little people that need me, that I have to serve every day. So whatever emotions I'm going through, I have to put it in a jar and hold it until the day is over. Because it's how my behavior impacts those little people. So that's really important. So that was before I knew about emotional intelligence. That was back in the late 80s, 90s, and so on. And I didn't know but I was practicing it. And so sometimes an emotional intelligence is innate. You have it because you were born with a lot of certain things. But emotional intelligence can be learned. It can be practiced. That's the beautiful thing about it. It can be learned and it can be practiced. So we know what self-awareness is. That's the huge tenet of emotional intelligence. So when I look at our pledge here, and I think about the love principles, I look at the word learn. Learn about people. I said, oh, that's 2 of the 5 tenets, 2 of the 5 principles of emotional intelligence. The first one is social skills. So now I said self-awareness. The second one is social skills. Social skills. Well, social skills is proficiency in managing relationships and building networks. That you are aware of yourself and your behavior, that you make connections with other people, that you develop networks, that you develop your own support system. Okay, that's what social skills are. So when we say learning about people, that's what you do. You learn about people. You talk to people. Hey, where are you from? What did you? Not be nosy. There's a difference. But just be aware and learn about people. Learn about what's in common, not what's different. We can all look at each other and find so many differences, but what do we have in common? There's a thing called uncommon commonalities that I like to do sometimes when I do my trainings, and I used to do it with my kids too. And uncommon commonalities is just putting the 5 of you in a group, and now you have 6 minutes to come up with something that you all have in common. And so it takes away that one's a different religion, that one's a different race, that one's a different age, that one, all of those specific things that we get all tied up on, it takes it away. So that is all about learning about people. You find that the 5 of you, you discover that all of you are middle children. It could be anything. It could be anything, but when you talk, you learn. When you learn, you build relationships. And that's what I think learning about people is all about. Social skills is also about the ability to find common ground and build rapport. So that's really what I just said. Finding common ground. What do we have in common? And let's build a rapport. Let's build relationships. Let's learn about each other. It's not insulting to ask someone, it depends on how you ask. I want to learn more about the language that you speak. Where did that language, what's a native language for you? Do your parents speak that language? Oh, wow, I bet it was beautiful there growing up. That's how you do it. So then when you walk into a room and you don't know anybody, you know that one person that you connected with 3 weeks ago. And so now you've built a relationship with them. Now you find yourself going with them, sitting with them, getting to know more about them. So that's learning about people. The next one under learning about people is, I did say that. Oh no, self-regulation. That's a big one. That's the third tenet of emotional intelligence. So we have self-awareness, we have social skills, and now we have self-regulation. So when we think of self-regulation, yes, self-regulation is regulating yourself, not being mad, and throwing the mic across the room. That is one part of it. But when we look at the love principles and we look at self-regulation, learning about people, self-regulation is without judgment. Think before acting. Think before assuming. So don't look at a person and assume who they are or who they aren't. That's self-regulation. That's regulating your mind and saying, now where did I go with that? That's a natural prejudice that I had growing up. I gotta break that. Where did I go with that? Learning about people is self-regulation. Not having judgment just because someone comes in the room dressed a certain way. Just because someone might be a certain age, someone might be a certain weight, someone might have a certain disability. So now we're going to make assumptions that that person can't do this. Don't make assumptions. That's judging. And so when we look at learning about people, self-regulation is a big one. Think before acting, think before judging, think before thinking negative thoughts about someone else that you do not know. This is a perfect message for the kids. So we have self-awareness, social skills, self-regulation. The next one that I looked at was open your heart to their needs. Oh my gosh. I saw this one. This is the fourth one, and it is all about empathy. My God, this country, we need empathy badly. Mm-hmm. Empathy. Little children can be taught empathy. It's just in what you say to them, how you teach them, how you, just all of those things. When Joy, my baby's name is Joy, I call her my baby, even though she's 21. When she was born, and she came to me, there was a huge baby shower, and the thing that they asked was, there was a question that everybody had to write on a card, and the question was, what do you think Pam wants most for baby Joy? And I still save those cards. She's 21 now, because I look at them, I'm like, really? That's what you thought? But some people said things like, oh, she would want her to be a little baby diva. Someone said she would want her to be able to sing. Someone said but you know the one that stuck out to me the most were the ones that said she would want her to be kind, because that was my answer. They asked me first, and then they asked everyone else to think of what I said. And I said, I want her to be kind. I want her to be kind. That's the most important thing to me. When I look at empathy, the ability to understand emotional needs of others without having those needs yourself. Without having those needs yourself, you understand the needs of this person and that person and that person. That's empathy, and you can learn that, and kids could be taught that. Kids could be taught that. The skill in treating people according to their emotional reactions. Treating people according to what they need, not what you need. It's not about us. It's not about you. It's about what they need. We do service. That's what this is all about. Love is the answer. We do service. So that's about meeting people according to their needs. Everybody wasn't raised like you. Everybody didn't go to the same schools as you. Everybody didn't have the same opportunities. Everyone didn't live in the same neighborhood. So we need to understand that we need to understand the emotional needs of others. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean he doesn't feel it. And there are stories. My story is not your story. And that's what we have to remember, that my story is not her story. My story is not his story. And I can empathize, even though that did not happen to me, even though I did not have that experience, she did. And that's her story, and I can empathize and try to help her with that situation. Many of us can go into a room right now, and we could be treated totally different based on what we look like, based on an assumption that someone is making about us, based on our language, based on our race, based on how we're dressed. People will make judgments. And that's where we need to stop, because love is the answer, and that's not love. So empathizing is a big one. Our country needs to empathize. We have people that are in need, desperate need. Desperate need. We have children that are in need, that don't know where their next meal is coming from. And sometimes they go to schools and people aren't very nice. We forget that everybody doesn't have what we have. Every child doesn't have what you might be able to provide for a child. So empathy is extremely important, and love is the answer. And then when I look at the principle of volunteer. Volunteer to be part of the solution. So we could talk all we want, but like it was said earlier, action. We know the whole thing about action speaks louder than words. Volunteer to be part of the solution. That is the fifth one. The fifth tenet of emotional intelligence is self-motivation. Self-motivation. A passion. So we got a room full of people that have this. A passion for work that goes beyond money or status. Nobody's trying to be the king or the queen of love is the answer. Nobody's becoming rich from love is the answer. It is a motivation, it's a passion for work that you see that needs to be done, and I might not be able to do it for everybody in every country, every state in this, but I'm gonna do what I am able to do. I have a passion to do that. To pursue goals with energy and persistence. The young man before me said, I come at you. That's what I do. That's persistence. He's not gonna stop. That's persistence. That's self-motivation. That falls under the volunteer, the principle of volunteer. And so, empower others comes to be the last one, and empower others to do the same through random acts of kindness and celebrations. What I got out of that one, all of the tenets, I've shared with you all the tenets of emotional intelligence, but what I got out of that one was educate and empower. Educate people, not just in what we generally educate them on, but educate them in emotional intelligence. Teach people how to be empathetic, How do you do that? But when someone says something, you say, well, if that were you, how would you feel? Yeah, if that were me, how would I feel? I guess I shouldn't have said that. Exactly. That's how we educate people. We teach people to be empathetic. We teach people to have emotional intelligence. We ask people to do these random acts of kindness and celebrations. We participate in all of those things. Those are the love principles. And so when you look at the love principles through the eyes of emotional intelligence, that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get. And if we could teach people how to do these things, how to have effective social skills, how to self-regulate themselves, how to be empathetic to other people, and how to have self-motivation and how to be self-aware, so that when they go to bed at night, they play that little movie across their head and they say, that wasn't very nice of me. I was rushing, I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that. He talked to me, he spoke to me, and I barely said anything. That's self-awareness. That's when you say, I need to contact him tomorrow because I didn't mean to do that. That might have hurt his feelings. So that is the end of my talk on emotional intelligence and how it ties to the love principles through the eyes of emotional intelligence. And I hope it's been helpful to you, and I hope you got something out of it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.